Today, we are going to cover these points. It's all according to the Business Analysis Book of Knowledge, BABOK. And there are main five these topics we should look at. Core key concepts, knowledge areas and tasks, underlying competencies, techniques, and perspectives. I will get into details of these things one by one. So hold on to those questions until the end. All these things are good for the preparation of the BABOK exam as well. Not only that, I will say in terms of understanding, responding in the interview also, you should be aware of all this information. So when we are talking about the core concepts, this is what the concept, the business analysis core concept model looks like. Let me minimize this one. Okay. So in this, what happens, what you see this diagram with the triangles and all, that is known as BACCM. What is this about? This is a course conceptual model, which indicates what exactly is done in this particular profession. When we are talking about these triangles here, like changes, needs, stakeholders, value, contexts, solutions, these look like English words, but there is more to that. I will come to that point, what exactly is more to that. If you're just looking at this diagram, the whole point is to do these kind of things which I have listed down here. That means, first of all, the business analyst person should be able to understand what exactly are the kind of changes we are doing, right? So if we don't understand what kind of changes we are doing, then it doesn't work very good. What are the needs we are trying to satisfy? So those needs could be at the business level, at the enterprise level or department level or some project level. What exactly we want to do in that? What are the solutions we are creating or changing? Solutions come into picture when the evaluation is already done, and now we are looking forward to, okay, these are the requirements, these are the business needs, and these are the alternative solutions. Are we going to create it, or are we going to change it, or we are just going to buy from the market? All those kind of evaluations are done at this point. So you know what? Why I said this? Because there are a lot of softwares which are already available in the market, which may be satisfying the business needs. At the same time, those may be expensive, so business doesn't want to go for those. So that is how all those assessments are done at this particular stage, whether we are going to create it in-house or we are just going to buy, or there is some simpler solution. Who are the stakeholders involved? I'll come to this point a little bit after talking about the fifth and sixth point. What do stakeholders consider to be of value? So you know what? We should be building something which is of value to the stakeholders. What is value? Okay, we might think that we are doing something great, very wonderful thing, but that may not be what stakeholders are looking at. They may be interested in something simpler or totally different what we have done. So we should understand that there should be some kind of value which we are providing to those stakeholders. And what are the contexts? What exactly is the context? You know, so we need to understand the bigger picture also, where our solution is going to fit in. I was holding on to this point, stakeholders. Anybody wants to tell me what stakeholder means? Just your thoughts. What exactly is this? Who exactly is a stakeholder?
Hi, Arvind. This is Anirudh. According to me, stakeholder is the person who involved or who has relationship with change, need, and solution.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you very much, Anurup. So I have got some examples here. Not here. Okay. Look at this one. This is what BABOK defines. I mean, not defines. They have provided some generic list of the stakeholders. And all these guys who are listed down here, I'm not going to read all these names, but all these people, they can be known as stakeholders. And look at this business analyst. This guy is the biggest stakeholder because this guy is going to get into the requirements and do all the things further. And this person is going to make sure that all the things which requirements he has gathered, he or she, then those are meeting the needs of other stakeholders, which are listed all down there. So stakeholder could be anybody who has direct or indirect interest in that product or project. Coming back here to this point. So this was a point I was holding on. Who are the stakeholders? And we already talked about stakeholders could be anybody involved in that, having any interest in that project. Coming to the next one. So these are the concepts and their definitions here, that what exactly the concept is and what is the description. When we were talking about so I'm going to talk about this particular diagram which we look here with the 6 triangles, right? First of all, change. All these things are very English-like words here. Change means what exactly transformation we need. Need, what exactly is the problem, business problem or opportunity we need to address. Those are known as needs. And these needs are generally at the top level, I will say at the business level or department level. Solution, that is more of, we already talked about just now, there could be multiple ways where we can satisfy those needs in that particular context, whether that solution is in-house building or buying some existing software or doing whatever. So those alternative solutions are assessed based on which the final solution is proposed. In fact, there's something called cost-benefit analysis as well, but that is not in the scope of BABOK, so I am not going to touch on that one. In short, cost-benefit analysis is all about how much it will cost us, what is the benefit we are going to get, that kind of analysis. Stakeholder, we already talked about. Value. So this is what exactly worth or usefulness we are providing to the stakeholder. That is called the value. So we may build something wonderful, everything is perfect, but if it is not adding any value to the stakeholder, it's going to be useless to that person. So usefulness is very important there. Context, that means all the circumstances that influence. So basically, context means what exactly is how do we understand that particular change? Whether we are creating a new software or new system, whatever, what exactly is the context of that? So these 6 things which we are talking about, they belong to this business analysis core concept model. In short, it is known as BACCM. And this is how it is represented, because you see all these things are connected with each other. It's not a sequential diagram. It's not, I will say every block, every triangle is connected with each of other triangles. So we need to understand that point. We talked about this one here. Requirements classification schema. I don't know if you have attended my software testing session or not. In that, I had given very nice diagram about what are the different kinds of requirements. But because this is not software testing session, I'm going to stick to this diagram, which is belonging to the BABOK, Business Analysis Book of Knowledge. And they classify the requirements like this: business requirements, stakeholder requirements, solution, functional, non-functional, and transition requirements. What exactly those are, this is where we are talking about. In this one, see in this one, business requirement, I don't know how I should get rid of this one. Okay, yeah, good. Business requirements. This is what it's talking about, the goals or objectives at the business level. So enterprise level or business area or specific initiative. Very top level requirements, those are business requirements here. Then within that business requirements, the business analyst is responsible to identify the stakeholders and meet with those guys and identify the needs of those stakeholders. And very interestingly, you will get a question in the interviews. How do you satisfy the conflicting requirements from multiple stakeholders? And that's a very good question. We will touch upon that in our mock session in the next one. In the next session, I mean. Because remember, we are going to do the mock interview in the final session, fourth one. And I would like to have some volunteer from the team who can, like, I will act as an interviewer and you act as somebody who is there for the job. And then we will address those questions. Solution requirements. So those are the things where solution requirement could be either functional or non-functional. Functional is something tangible, non-functional which is measurable. Non-functional falls like into those categories where we are talking about response time, any threshold or the load requirements or the stress requirements, how much load this particular application can have. All those things fall under non-functional requirements. Functional requirements are the actual features, capabilities. Transition requirements. So this is very important. Most of the time, our business analysts I have seen in the team, they miss this particular point. It's important to address the transition requirements because the organization may have some existing system, right? And we need to understand that we are moving from the existing system to the new system. So current state to future state. There might be a lot of data sitting in the current state, that particular product or software. And we need to make sure that there is some kind of transition plan, which is making sure that the current data gets transferred, or other term is migrated. So you'll find these both the terms, transition or migration. The current data gets migrated to the future state. So that's the whole point about the transition requirement here. Then this we already talked about, the generic list of stakeholders. Coming to this, just touching upon the requirements and design component, what exactly it is. And the whole point is, instead of getting into details of this, the point here is that this is an iterative process. So first of all, the business analyst is going to identify business requirements to understand like why exactly we want it. Business requirements could be something like where they say, okay, we want to cut down on the cost. We want to increase the revenue. We want to increase the response time. We want to cut down on something, or we want to increase revenue. Like those could be the business drivers, I will say. That's why we need to understand why they are doing this project. And then comes the stakeholder requirements. Somebody from the finance, they may come up with some requirements. Somebody from the operation support, or from the customer service, or from the end users. All those guys are different stakeholders, and we need to understand what exactly they want. Also, not only what exactly they want, we need to understand, are those requirements aligning with the business requirements also? So we keep a high-level bird's eye on the business requirements while documenting the lower-level stakeholder requirements. Then we are talked about why and what. Now how? That is design. At that time, the solution requirements come up, that what do I want? The problem with a lot of business analysts is, which I'll give a very caution about this thing to you. We should not get into design mode at this particular point. When we are talking about the business requirements, let's not get into solution mode. Because as a BA, business analyst, our job, for the first job is get into the requirements, understand those, what exactly, how it is meeting the business objective. Once everything is validated by the business, prioritized also, reviewed, frozen, then we should be getting into the solution mode. Okay, how do we want to achieve these requirements in the form of a solution? So that is what the design is. And there could be some transition requirements also, like we already talked about, transition or migration from the current state to the future state. So this is an iterative until we see that, okay, now people are satisfied about this thing and we can go ahead with the further level. That is why another important aspect of sign-off comes into picture. When we are talking about the sign-off, there we are talking about whatever the requirements we have documented, those are reviewed or finalized or approved by the stakeholders. So that's very important here. What exactly is a design? We are talking about design is a representation of requirements, and design might be used to elicit further requirements, prototyping. So we already talked about the requirements in the last session, where I mentioned about, if you guys recall, about SMART requirements, SMART. That is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So that is a measure where we go with whether this is a good requirement or just like, we need to do something better about it. Then comes a further one where we are talking about, okay, now coming to this one, remember I showed you this diagram in the beginning where we talked about the core key concepts. Till now we were talking about the core concepts, and now we are going to talk about the knowledge areas and tasks. Once we are done with this part, then we'll talk about underlying competencies, techniques, and perspectives. Anyways, in the 6 knowledge areas, I had mentioned this thing in the last session as well. What exactly is a knowledge area? This is a definition. What exactly it is? It's a collection of logically related tasks. It may not be a sequential level. And what exactly those do? They describe specific activities that accomplish the purpose of their associated knowledge area. So anyways, this particular part, what we are talking about is this complete diagram which you see, and you see the arrows as well. Let's say we start from the requirements analysis and design definition, and then we keep on linking with all these things, which I'm going to get to in a while. For now, just look at this diagram that these are the 6 knowledge areas, and this should be this is a more of a memory exercise. Just remember this thing. There's a lot of memory part also, but I'll keep on giving you some tips about this thing. Now, in the BABOK, you will find a lot of diagrams like this, looking like this. So I have taken, you see, these are 6 knowledge areas here. And for each of these knowledge areas, I'll be having these input-output diagrams. This is how we need to come up with our understanding. In the case of business analysis, planning, and monitoring knowledge area, there is some section called input. Then we got the tasks, and we got the output. In every diagram, you'll find something like this. Okay. So in this particular case, what we are looking at, if you're doing the business analysis, planning, and monitoring, they have identified these inputs like needs. What are the business needs? What are the performance objectives? Those are external. And what exactly tasks are to be done, performed by the business analyst. So all these things, I'm not going to read all this. I'm just showing this so that you get an idea about what exactly the diagrams contain. And when we are having these tasks, these are the outputs. Let's say I'm corresponding with plan, business, analysis approach. So you see, all these tasks, those are starting with some verb, like planning, identifying, controlling, monitoring, whatever those things. So those are starting with the actual verb. Those are the active sentences here. And what is the output? Whatever the deliverable or the output we are trying to produce, that becomes my output here. So in this case, 3.1, what is my output? Business analysis approach. Stakeholder engagement, then we come up with stakeholder engagement approach. Similarly, the other ones. Again, these are very detailed diagrams just to show that all these diagrams look like very similar. This is another knowledge area known as elicitation and collaboration. Elicitation is more for the extracting the requirements and validation, prioritizing all that part. These are the inputs here which are identified. Tasks, let's say we are doing prepare for elicitation. In this elicitation activity plan, conduct it. So that means all these tasks have corresponding output as well, which you see in the bottom block. Requirements lifecycle management. There are so many different kinds of lifecycle. In the context of BABOK, we are talking about the requirements lifecycle. And within that, we got the inputs like requirements, designs, proposed change, the requirements which are verified. And as a business analyst, we do these tasks in terms of tracing those things. So basically, when we are talking about the trace requirements, it's more of every requirement should be traceable to the higher level as well as lower level. By that I mean, if there could be some business requirement which we have identified, we should be able to tie up that with the business need, not only that with the use cases or test cases also, so that is forming a traceability matrix, and we just want to make sure that everything is covered, that ensures a full coverage. These are the outputs. Anyways, the whole point here is these different 6 knowledge areas, they got their own inputs, they got their own tasks and outputs. And this is the final one, solution evaluation. Now I'm going to jump to the underlying competencies. When we are talking about the underlying competencies, these are the competencies identified by the BABOK. In that, we got these 6 categories. Like in the book, you'll find all those different competencies. Now, the portion which I would like to highlight here, you remember we talked about who can become an effective business analyst. And these are the important things which we must have in us. Analytical thinking, problem solving, all these further things are there. Then we got some ethics, personal accountability, not to blame other people, take accountability, be responsible, have some kind of proper time management. Business knowledge. I think this is the point I always highlight to everybody, that regardless of what is your background, you can get into the profession of BA, and that too very good BA. Why? Because if you got business knowledge, industry knowledge, you understand one particular business domain. At the same time, you also combine that knowledge with the business analysis tools and techniques. Then you can become very good, effective business analyst. So this is the point which a lot of people have asked, so that's why I emphasized. Communication skills, verbal, non-verbal, written, listening, so all those things are important, very important actually, because as a business analyst, our job is to keep on talking. And I will say, instead of lot of talking, keep on listening as well, so that we understand the intention of the other person, what exactly they want to convey, and document and get it reviewed from the stakeholder. Interaction skills, very important, because most of our day goes into the facilitation or those kind of, mentoring the other people or telling them what exactly is the solution able to do. Tools and technology. So all these things, underlying competencies, we need to develop those things as a business analyst. See, all these things are very formally documented in the BABOK. Till now, we were just talking in the air, but now I'm showing you all these things taken from the BABOK. Techniques. Now we are at the point where we are going to talk about the techniques. That is the 4th block here. There are 50 techniques in BABOK. So from that point, in that context, it's important to at least have an understanding of all these different techniques. Not all the techniques are used in an organization. Like, I will be honest with you, I don't think I have used more than, out of these 50, I don't think I have used more than 25% of the techniques. But again, it's all organization dependent thing, which technique they are using for the business analyst. Or maybe business analyst can propose that, okay, I think this is the most appropriate technique and we should go with this. Some example like data modeling, data flow diagram, data dictionary, focus groups. All these are different techniques which we are going to use for documenting the current state, future state, doing the gap analysis, all that. I took an example of user story because in the context of agile environment, use cases, user stories, those are picking up very nicely. And we really need to understand what exactly those stand for. So even personally, I like this mind mapping very much. It's a very beautiful tool you will find online, and even it can be used for your personal work as well. This is how the user story looks like, where we are identifying who is a user, what kind of functionality it is. Just have a look. So let's say for the registration epic, user story looks like this. As a user, I can register for the application by entering my email password and confirming my password. Login as a user, I can log into the application by entering my email and password. So in a way, this particular statement, this how it is represented, that is what I just showed you one sample of a user story. This is very important. I think you should get some good reading about this thing. I'll share some articles also, how to write some good user stories, because you will get these kind of questions about what is a user story, how can you write one user story for me, and those kind of things in the interview. Finally, we got the perspectives. There are these 5 different perspectives. What exactly is a perspective? So this is the definition according to BABOK, something which helps us to focus on the tasks and techniques. It could be IT perspective, it could be agile or business architecture, or BPM perspective, BI perspective. And let me tell you, each of these, like even for the, let's say, business process management, I have attended 5 days course just for the BPM. And there's something called BPMP, Business Process Management Professional. So these things are the big sciences in their own context. Business architecture is a huge concept here. Business intelligence as well. But from the perspective of in the context of the BABOK, we will just limit our discussion to the perspectives that, okay, these are the 5 different perspectives and what's the meaning. That's all I can say in this particular one. Oh, and also I see it's only about 8 minutes now, and I see our guest is also here. Sonia ji, if you want to please add on something which you think is useful for the audience.
Hello. I have I've been listening. I think you've covered almost everything. The only thing that I felt that I can add on is when you mentioned about people having business knowledge is very important. I would like to elaborate on that a little bit.
Sure.
Let's say, for example, somebody is from the HR side of the company, or if somebody is from the any particular area of the company. These days, we all the companies want to make everything automated. So if you have the knowledge of, let's say, for example, how to do payrolls, then if there was a system which addresses payroll system, then you can add a lot of value just by your own business knowledge. You will understand exactly what the users are trying to do, and that's why you will be able to interpret your knowledge properly to a developer, or you will be able to capture the requirements more effectively and efficiently. So yes, having business knowledge is a huge plus point. And then if you learn the business analysis techniques on top of that, that will be like a cherry on the cake. You'll be a very valuable employee.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sonia ji. So that's a very valid point, and we keep on highlighting this thing, that if you are a subject matter expert and if you learn those techniques, which are taught in BABOK, different techniques, and we got those different competencies as well. It's not possible to gain all those 100% of those things, but whatever best we can do, yes, those are the prerequisite, the basic requirements to get into the profession of a business analyst. So the book is very dry, and even the contents you might have seen, all those diagrams, inputs, outputs, and graphs, you might get confused. At least I get confused, I will admit that. It all looks very similar. But once you do a couple of iterations of the reading, then at least we start linking those dots and it starts making sense. And when we do the real project, then it's even better. I wish I could have some real project. Maybe I'll try to find out for the next session. Otherwise, we will limit our next session only for the mock interview and interview prep kind of questions. And I would like to open the forum for audience. For any questions you may ask us. Or until we are waiting for someone. Sonia, do you want to address this question? How a fresher can get into the profession of a BA?
For sure. I think what you can do is you can distribute your resume. You will start with your company first. If there is an internal posting for a business analyst, that would be your best chance. For example, I worked for Canada Life for a long time, and there were many people from within the business operations who had access to vacancies like the opportunities sooner than it was advertised outside. So look inside your company career section, as well as you can distribute your resume to recruiters. As Arvind ji had previously mentioned also, I think in one of his WhatsApp posts, where you can share your resume with the recruiters like Randstad, or and there are many others in Winnipeg, or I'm sure worldwide, who hire people for placing them into other companies. So those are good avenues. And you will be looking for entry level jobs for business analyst. So you'll search by business analyst or entry level, or 1 or 2 years of experience. Because when you're studying for the BA, that also works like experience time, as well as if you have knowledge of a particular area of a business side, then that would also add to your experience. So basically, that's where you should start, like job sites like workforpolice.ca or indeed.ca. You'll be looking for entry level BA positions, but start with your own company first.
Thank you. And I would like to add, if audience they don't have the profile on LinkedIn or those kind of professional websites, it's always it's a good starting point to have your resume, testimonials, connections there, because a lot of employers, they have started looking at those profiles as well to shortlist or screen the candidates. Even the recruiters also, they keep on looking at these sites. So you never know who is looking at your profile, and you get good luck with it. So with this, it's already about 1 minute, and I guess we can wrap up this session. Thank you very much, everybody. See you in the next session.